What if Revan cured Anakin Skywalker's nightmares? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. The nightmare plays in his mind once again. He tries his best to block it out, shaking his head and trying to ignore it, but the images seem to be too powerful to ignore. They practically force themselves into his mind, forcing him to hear as Padme screams, forcing him to watch as she thrashes in the bed, and to smell the blood leaking from her. Anakin shakes his head and tries to squeeze his eyes shut. He tries to black it out and think of anything else. And to his surprise, he feels the vision changing. The sounds and smells vanish, replaced with laughter and the smell of fresh grass. When he looks up, he is back on Naboo. It is during his days as a Padawan, when he was tasked with guarding Padme. Standing up, he looks around and tries to make sense of everything he's seeing. The sudden change gives him whiplash, but at the same time, it is a welcome change, and he relaxes, looking around to see his younger self with Padme. But then there is something else, a figure beside him. He whirls and sees him, a Jedi robe, but over a Mandalorian helmet.
I thought you might find this memory more pleasant.
Anakin whirls around and searches for his lightsaber, as he stares over at him in surprise, preparing to reach out and attack. But Revan chuckles. Who are you?
An old friend. Someone who understands what you're going through. My name is Revan.
Revan? The Sith Lord?
Repentant Sith Lord. But yes, I'm here to provide you with guidance. You are terrified by this dream. Not that I blame you. I can sense that you want it gone. What if I were to tell you I can do that for you?
And you would do that? Can you even do that?
Easily.
He steps towards the Jedi and taps his forehead, and suddenly Revan is reaching into Anakin's connection to the Force. Not to control or harm him, but instead to study it and understand it. He intends to slowly adjust it and take it to a more peaceful place. But that is where he sees the strangest thing. He feels another presence. It is faint, as if not actively attacking him, but it is there. Revan probes deeper into it. He does not let it go away and instead surrounds and examines it, trying to make sense of the presence, and then sees a face form in it. He sees an old man in his chambers, slowly weaving this dream together and implanting it, making it appear as though it were from the Force. Revan steps back and frowns as he realizes that, looking over Anakin, he sees the Jedi is starting to feel a bit better. He places a hand on his shoulder.
It appears someone has planted this dream within you, to try and scare you.
Who? Who would want to do that to me?
Some man named Palpatine. It appears to me that he thinks of himself as a Sith Lord.
What? No, that can't be right. Chancellor Palpatine would never do that to me. And he's no Sith. He's been fighting against them for years. His administration is built on protecting the Republic.
And what is he protecting it from? Is he truly fighting the Sith, or maybe he's just trying to protect it from whoever he deems to be a threat? But now is not the time to talk. If you truly wish to learn more, meet me in the lower districts.
With that, the dream fades, and Anakin shoots awake, his eyes widening and his body shaking. But he found himself back in his home in his apartment with Padme. He looks around for any sign of Revan, but finds none. For a moment, he thinks that maybe all of this was just a figment of his imagination, and that Revan wasn't truly here. But he can sense his presence in the Force. He was real, and he was there. That means the warning he gave was real, and Anakin feels a shudder. Palpatine is a Sith Lord. At first, he wants to deny it and say it's a lie, but the truth is that there is only one way to be sure. So, the next day, Anakin makes his way down to the lower districts. He lets his Force powers guide him until he reaches a dark alley, where a figure is waiting for him.
Impressive instincts. Not many people can track me down.
Statement. Indeed. This meatbag shows promise, as well as a propensity for violence. I like that.
I'm not interested in flattery. You said you have a reason to believe that Palpatine is the Sith Lord. What proof do you have? Revan taps his head again, letting him see what Revan saw. The dark presence in Anakin's dream. The malignant manipulations happening under his nose, shaping his dreams to scare him. Anakin's eyes widen as he realizes what this means. It is like programming a droid. Someone was initially making him see his wife dying to scare him. That was no vision from the Force. It was a deception. And as the visions change and grow stronger, he can see Revan searching for that figure until he sees the image of Palpatine. No. But it is. and he watches as Palpatine works, summoning the Force to aid him in creating this dream. It shouldn't be possible, and yet it is exactly what the Chancellor is doing. By the time things fade, Anakin stumbles back, staring at Revan in shock.
That can't be. It's impossible.
And yet it is, my boy. The Sith are back.
Statement. That is why we are here too. To eliminate them and remind them what true darkness looked like.
He's the Chancellor. He has control of the Republic.
Counterpoint. Yes, and it is why more people will be surprised when I make his stupid meatbag head explode.
No, the boy is right. We can't just attack the man who runs the Republic. Not unless we are prepared to take on the entire Republic. We will need something to lure him out. And I have just the idea. We have to lure Palpatine out with something he can't resist. If he is going to take over, he will need more power, more weapons to control the galaxy. So he'll need one of these.
He reaches into his holodisc and shows a display of the legendary Starforge. The station was long believed to have been destroyed, but Revan secretly kept it hidden, and now just requires the right components to reactivate it. With a weapon like that, Palpatine will be able to manufacture ships and weapons at a faster pace than anyone in the galaxy. It will make his control over the galaxy absolute, so long as he obtains it. Anakin agrees with this plan and offers to help retrieve the components they need to create the star map to reach it. But as Anakin leaves to prepare for their journey, HK-47 turns to his master.
Statement. Master, I must say you did an excellent job finding this pawn for your plan. The young meatbag is most eager to prove himself, and is rather gifted. He will be a great asset.
Indeed. And powerful in the Force. If there is anyone who can clear the way for us, it is him.
They begin gathering a list of all the components that they need. Parts to make the key, holocrons, and Sith artifacts that they can use to create this device. It will require them to gather tools all across the galaxy. Although reluctant to leave Coruscant behind for his mission, the knowledge that Padme is safe and isn't in any real danger of dying helps put him at ease. He eventually decides to head out alongside him. For the next few weeks, they visit old temples, ruined battlefields, and ancient stations that were long abandoned, checking off the list of items they need. They operate from atop Revan's ship, searching for artifacts that they need. Faint light seeps through the cracks of the derelict Sith temple on Rakata Prime, glinting off fractured obsidian and tangled vines. In the center of the chamber, a circular dais hums beneath their boots, powered by long-dormant machinery awakened only days ago. Revan and Anakin kneel at its edge, surrounded by half-assembled components of a Force-forged crystal. It vibrates softly in the air, responding to both their Force signatures as they meld will and thought into shape. Anakin grits his teeth, sweat glistening down his temple. This kind of patience, this delicate craftsmanship, it is not strength. He is a warrior, not a scholar, not like Revan.
You're trying to control it. You can't. You have to listen to it.
I am listening. It's just stubborn.
So were you once, if I heard right.
Still am.
Good. Stubbornness keeps you alive, but it's discipline that makes you more than a weapon.
Anakin frowns, but the tension in his shoulders eases. He tries again. This time his hand steadies, hovering just close enough to feel the crystal's pulse syncing with his own heartbeat. Revan mirrors the motion, and the fragments begin to draw together, aligning into the necessary component.
Observation. Meatbag coordination is inefficient, but mildly impressive. The probability of an explosion has decreased by 6%.
Remind me why we brought him again.
Because he knows how to track Sith holocrons, and enjoys dismembering people who try to stop us.
The piece flashes, pulsing once, then settles. Anakin lowers his hands and exhales, but Revan places a hand on his shoulder and nods, complimenting him. Revan stands, offering a hand to Anakin. The gesture is casual, fatherly almost. This is just the first piece, though, and the journey takes them to many more planets and many more places. It is a daunting task, but Revan is there to guide him, and his presence is oddly reassuring. The man has decades of experience, arguably more experience than anyone in the Jedi Order, except for maybe Yoda, and he does not carry himself like Mace or Ki-Adi-Mundi. Instead, the former Jedi is patient and understanding. He has no problem rolling up his sleeves and helping Anakin work. Without the organization or pressures of the Jedi Order, he is much more relaxed, and he has an egalitarian style. The moons of Concordia rise low over the horizon, casting long silver shadows across the desert basin. Wind sweeps fine red dust into the air as the skiff lifts off, its engines sputtering briefly.
You're flying this thing blind.
It builds character. You'll be flying the next leg. I want you to feel how the Force moves through machines.
Even this junk bucket?
Especially this junk bucket.
Anakin closes his eyes as Revan guides his hand into a humming engine. He tells him to focus, to see it less like a machine and more like a heartbeat. And when he thinks that, the engine begins to stabilize.
Couldn't have done it better myself.
On the snowy ridges of Ordo Plutonia, they camp in the wreckage of a Republic escape pod, salvaging heat from the ruptured power cell. He shows Anakin how to trap geothermal heat beneath the snow, teaches him to reroute short circuits on a power conduit without frying his fingers. HK-47 loiters nearby, polishing a blaster and muttering insults at the frost. He occasionally fires potshots at a nearby Tals, who moves to investigate. On Zepho, Revan walks Anakin through the ancient Jedi catacombs.
There was a time when we studied, not preached. You don't need dogma to understand the Force. You just need to listen.
Then what did the Jedi get wrong?
They were afraid. Fear makes institutions brittle, and brittle things break.
That stays with Anakin. He thinks of how far the Jedi Council has held him back, and he closes his eyes. He uses the Force to guide him and lets it move through the catacombs. Each time they find an item, Revan is quick to offer praise or criticism. He doesn't ever sugarcoat anything, but makes sure Anakin feels appreciated for each success. He tells himself that this is to keep Anakin motivated on the prize and to prevent him from losing track. It may very well be true at first, but over time, something changes within the ancient Jedi. Every time he watches Anakin accomplish a task he initially deemed impossible, Revan can't help but feel a glimmer of pride in the boy. It is like watching a youngling succeed in the challenges laid before them. Though Revan denies it, he begins to feel a certain fondness for Skywalker, coming to see him as almost like a son to him, and he is his mentor. But there's little time to dwell on that as they gather all the components they need to forge the key. They decide to spring a trap, secretly laying out a trap for Palpatine. They secretly lay the trap by leaking the information about the Starforge and making it seem as though it were making its presence known. HK-47 also ensures that their location is leaked through some lowlifes they encounter while hiding in the Outer Rim. The sky above Vertepe burns a permanent shade of molten orange, stained by the volcanic crust that has long sealed the dead planet's forges. An ancient Rakatan facility lies buried beneath jagged obsidian and glassy ash, an eerie dead precursor of the Starforge's power, the perfect place for a lie to become bait. Revan stands at the center of the ruins, cloaked and still, holding the glimmering rune-etched key, or what appears to be the key. Beside him, Anakin adjusts his gloves. Behind them, HK-47 paces in lazy circles around the perimeter. His photoreceptors glow redder than usual.
Statement. I have leaked the location to precisely the sort of filth your meatbag chancellor cannot resist. He will come.
Lightning splits the ash-choked clouds. A black shuttle descends with the screech of metal and air. Anakin narrows his eyes as the ship touches down in the caldera. The ramp lowers, and from the smoke and steam, the Sith Lord emerges. Palpatine. Hunched beneath his dark robes, he scans the terrain, the Force coiling around him like serpents. Revan raises the false key.
You want this? Then come take it.
With pleasure.
The Force erupts like a detonation. Palpatine's saber ignites with shrieking crimson, faster than lightning, surging at Revan with raw, practiced hate. But Revan's purple lightsaber flashes and bats his blade aside. He moves to strike the Chancellor, but Palpatine intercepts, and their weapons glow bright as they trade blows. Revan moves like water, an ancient, deliberate dance. His strikes aren't wild, they're surgical. Every motion was learned through centuries of war and regret. But Palpatine is a tempest. He strikes with blinding speed that belies his age and leaves him able to hold his ground. A part of this duel is the doubt in Revan's body. Though it is small, he feels the conflict gnawing in the warrior's chest, and Palpatine takes advantage of this. He reaches out with the Force to grab hold of it and cause the doubt to seep into him. For a moment, Revan's strikes move too slow, and he takes a glancing blow to the shoulder. He quickly rights himself and pushes Palpatine back, sweeping his lightsaber and sending the Chancellor flipping back.
You carry doubt, Revan. You wear the face of a Sith, but you've lost your fangs.
Anakin leaps into the fray beside him, his blue blade meeting red in a shockwave of sparks. He tries to start defending his master, sweeping his lightsaber in wild arcs while HK-47 fires his sonic blaster and keeps Palpatine off balance. It is a good system, and the two press him. Though Palpatine has experience, Anakin is younger. He ducks under the attacks and thrusts his lightsaber forward, nearly disemboweling Palpatine, who must slide under the way. HK-47 fires his blaster and takes Palpatine at his side. This unsteadies him enough that Anakin leaps at him. Palpatine turns, strikes low, then high, feinting. He probes Anakin's mind as he fights, whispering with the Force. "She's going to die, Skywalker. You can't save her, not without me." Anakin snarls and lunges, sweeping his lightsaber low to block the attack, and Palpatine smiles. He unleashes another burst of lightning that throws the Jedi back. When HK-47 tries to cover them, Palpatine searches around for the key, but finds nothing. Cursing, Palpatine spins, raking a crimson slash between them, and disappears into a crackle of lightning and smoke, leaping backwards towards his shuttle. HK-47 opens fire, bolts raining down. Palpatine deflects them midair, disappearing into the shuttle's rising ramp. A final blast of force energy hurls the trio back as the shuttle takes off, ascending in a spiral of flame. He's gone. Anakin punches the ground. A ring of cracked smoke splinters outward from the impact.
We had him right there. And I let him get into my head.
You didn't fail. He's more cunning than I realized. It's not your fault. He got into all of us.
You don't understand. If what you say is true, then I've been manipulated all this time. And I let him do it to me again. I thought that this time I could finally be better. That I could finally face him.
Revan doesn't speak for a moment. HK-47 excuses himself to repair the ship, but then the ancient Jedi approaches and places a hand on his shoulder.
Listen, young one. You have the makings of greatness in you. But you have to stick to it, no matter the squall. Because one day, you're going to rattle the stars. And when that day comes, I hope I'm there, ready to see what you've done.
Anakin stares at the older man for a moment. Though he still wears his helmet, Anakin can tell he's smiling. They begin to plan their next move. They know Palpatine will not fall for another fake key trick. To lure him out, they will need something big, so they decide to activate the Starforge. Palpatine will need to confront them, lest they take control. Although this risks drawing in more people, they have to risk it. And Revan knows he cannot risk waiting for his plans. The Starforge awakens with a low, endless hum. Deep within the swirling heart of the ancient Rakata machine, Revan, Anakin, and HK-47 stand in a colossal control chamber. Arcs of power pulse through the conduits carved into black durasteel, casting shadows that dance along the walls. The forge pulses in time with their breath, responding to their presence, especially Anakin's. It had taken much to reactivate this ancient machine, and Revan had relied on Anakin to get it done. Now he looks over the young Jedi and offers a nod. But things are up and running. HK-47 notices blips in the scanner.
Observation. A Republic frigate is approaching. Is this not part of your meatbag invitation list?
They found us, but not through sensors. The Force.
What do we do?
We activate the Forge. If Palpatine wants to stop us, he'll have to come himself.
Suddenly, klaxons scream through the ancient facility, access doors slamming open as clones rush forward.
Excited statement. At long last, I may fulfill my original programming again.
The droid launches forward, blasters roaring, covering the corridor with suppressive fire. Clones leap to avoid his barrage. Behind him, Sith security droids activate and rush alongside him.
Command. Go. Finish your heretical ritual, Master and Associate Master.
Anakin and Revan sprint into the main sanctum, deeper into the Forge's ancient AI core. Energy surges. Revan begins the final initiation, guiding Anakin through the last step to unlock the machine's full potential. But then, the darkness comes. Two whirl around with their lightsabers ready as Palpatine steps forward. He appears unarmed, raising his hands up, but there is a dangerous glow in his eyes.
You've done well. A masterwork of deceit and desperation. Truly, you deserve a prize.
You're too late.
You still don't understand, do you? This forge was never yours to wield. Revan brought you here so he may claim it.
Anakin's saber dips slightly. He glances at Revan.
Lies. He needed your power, your connection to the Force, to this machine. He needed it to gather the components. That's why he brought you along, trained you, and showed you how. You were just the key. Nothing more.
Tell me he's lying.
It was true. At first, I needed you to access the forge, but that changed.
You used me?
I guided you.
You used me.
Anakin reaches out with the Force, searches Revan's presence, and finds the truth, the guilt, the hope, the contradiction. He roars, unleashing his fury in a crackling storm of Force energy and saber strikes. Revan blocks the first flurry, dodges the second, but takes a glancing hit across the side.
Anakin, don't do this.
But his words are cut off as Anakin's lightsaber flashes. Revan manages to block their strikes, but then Palpatine joins. He laughs and lands between them, rushing towards Revan, thrusting in his neck. He barely manages to dodge this strike, but then Anakin whirls towards Palpatine, who must leap back to avoid it. The Chancellor looks back in surprise, but then roars and rushes to face him. Lightning arcs from his fingertips to try and blast them down. Both manage to halt the attack with their lightsabers. Sparks and lightning fill the air. The chamber shakes from the fury of their clashing wills. Revan tries to subdue, not kill. Anakin fights with raw emotion. Palpatine is relentless, exploiting every weakness. He tears at Revan's doubts while laughing at Anakin's anger, urging him forward to finish the job. Anakin roars and lets his anger continue to carry him. His lightsaber kicks up a storm as he whirls around, keeping them both back. Palpatine and Revan are careful to avoid each other, occasionally clashing as their lightsabers leave the ground, sparking around them. Revan manages to halt Palpatine's attacks as the Chancellor unleashes everything. It is like fighting against the mountain. No matter how much the wind howls, the mountain does not bow. And as he pulls back for another strike, Revan moves. He brings his lightsaber down and pins Palpatine's blade to the ground before elbowing him across the face. As Palpatine stumbles, Revan grabs him and lifts him off the ground before slamming him against the wall. He turns just as Anakin lunges at him and knocks him over. Revan staggers and tries to block his slash, but it presses into his side as he leaves him screaming.
Do it. End him. The forge is yours. The galaxy is yours.
Anakin stares down at Revan, breathing hard.
If you do this, he wins.
For a moment, the chamber is silent, and Anakin steps back, turning to Palpatine.
I am not your puppet anymore. Not his. Not yours.
So be it.
He thrusts forward with the Force, blasting towards Anakin's back.
No!
Revan throws himself in the way. Lightning strikes him full force, hurling him backward into the wall. But he plants his foot and looks at Palpatine. As the lightning arcs off his body, he glares at the Sith Lord, anger radiating off him as he rushes forward and drives his lightsaber into him. Palpatine staggers, gasping. His hands tremble.
If I can't take it, no one will.
He turns to the core, reaching deep into the Force, deeper than ever before. Dark energy tearing at the seams of reality. With a guttural scream, he lashes out, rippling into the forge's primary conduit. Systems erupt in fire. The hum turns to a shriek. The Star Forge begins to collapse. Alarms blare in ancient Rakatan. Red warning lights flood the chamber. The machine that could build fleets in seconds is crumbling. Palpatine laughs, coughing, dying, but victorious in this destruction. He then vanishes into the shadows. Flames race through the ancient halls like tidal waves of molten air, devouring centuries of secrets in seconds. Its structure groans, metal screaming as the Rakatan superstructure begins to buckle inward. Every second that passes, another corridor collapses, another burst conduit erupts in blinding white fire. Anakin hauls Revan up with one arm, throwing his other forward to deflect a wall of superheated shrapnel with a snap of the Force. As an explosion rips through the corridors, Revan raises his hand and absorbs the fire as they move towards the hangar.
Statement. Your survival probabilities are now approximately 5.2%. I recommend prayer to non-existent gods, followed by sprinting.
A fuel line explodes behind them. The shockwave crashes into Anakin's back, launching him and Revan across the hallway. Smoke pours into the corridor like choking fog.
Go. Just go.
We both get out of here. Or neither of us does.
They move again, step by step, staggering through heat and rubble. Every time a conduit bursts or the ceiling caves in, one shields the other. At one point, a fireball races down the hallway toward them like a living demon. Revan throws up a shield, but it starts to crack. Anakin steps in, reinforcing it with sheer rage.
gritting his teeth as flame licks around them like a furnace. Finally, the hangar doors loom ahead, half ajar and flickering. They stagger into the hangar, barely conscious. HK-47 stands at the ramp, waving cheerfully with a smoking blaster in hand.
Joyful observation. You look awful, but survivable.
The Shadow Vector's engines roar to life. Anakin slams the ramp control as Revan collapses into a seat. Fire and lightning engulf the hangar. As the ship tears free from the dying forge, the explosion blossoms behind them. A collapsing star made of metal, hatred, and history.
You didn't let me die.
Neither did you.
The ship slips into hyperspace. Behind them, the Star Forge dies, consumed by the sins of the past. But Revan and Anakin live on. And they soon disappear into the galaxy. Rather than return to Coruscant, they continue their hunt for whatever Sith artifacts they can find, leaving the Jedi, but stopping long enough for Anakin to pick up his children and wife. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.